name is Ellie Mitchell. I am a lifelong Baltimore resident. I live in the 41st District with my husband George and our son and daughter who attend Baltimore City Public Schools. My mom is my role model. She taught history at Morgan for 40 years, and she was a community activist and education advocate. And actually, she would drag my brother and I down to school board meetings, and we would sit there and we'd be bored out of our skulls. But when I started paying attention, I learned that the only way you make change and progress in Baltimore is by fighting for it. Over the last 8 years, I have run a statewide organization called the Maryland Out of School Time Network, fighting for more and better after-school programs. Here in Baltimore, I was part of leadership of a coalition that helped increase after-school programs from $6 million to $10 million. And as a delegate for the 41st District, I would fight for more just and equitable resources from the state, in particular greater investment in education, which is the key to jobs that pay a fair wage and support families. So I'm here tonight to ask for your support and your vote, and I look forward to sharing more about my vision and experience during the interview tonight. Thank you.
And thank you. So the first question, what committee of the legislature would you be most interested in serving on for the constituents of the 41st District?
Sure, so with my passion for education and young people, Ways and Means would be my first choice of committee. But if I didn't have my first choice, my second choice would be Health and Government Operations, because so many of the issues that plague our communities are actually public health issues, and they are civil rights issues. And both of those committees afford the opportunity to leverage resources for the 41st.
Thank you. Next question comes from Delegate Oaks.
If you were selected, what steps would you take to ensure accountability and transparency to protect and strengthen the 41st District?
Yeah, so accountability is an incredibly important issue, and one of the ways you can be accountable is always being on call. So when your constituent calls you, you say, this is what I'm going to do, these are my next steps, and these are how I'm going to follow up. And that way your constituent knows what they can expect from you. But it's also about being transparent with your other colleagues and being transparent at the state level about what you intend to accomplish and leveraging that. So I think that it's an honesty both to your constituents and it's an honesty to your fellow Baltimore City representatives.
Thank you. Ms. Wallace?
Yes. What have you done in a leadership capacity to garner tangible and impactful results in the 41st District?
Awesome. I have a program I'm very proud of that we run, and it's a citywide program, but 2 schools in this district participate. It's called Summer Reads, and we serve more than 500 young people during the summer, 6 weeks, breakfast and lunch. And during that program, young people actually, instead of losing ground over the summer, they gain academically. And both Arlington and Windsor Hills participate in that program.
Thank you. Councilwoman Spector.
Ellie, what are your thoughts and how would you assist in retaining and bringing economic and employment anchors to the 41st District, such as the previous issue with the racetrack?
Yeah, so I think the future of our economy in Baltimore is in STEM: science, technology, engineering, and math. I'm on the board of an organization called Digital Harbor Foundation, and they took the rec center in Federal Hill and turned it into a tech center. And that's what we need to do in this district as well, because the jobs that pay fair wages, the jobs that support families, are in the STEM economy, and we have to have the workforce pathways for that.
Thank you. Well, you've gone through all the questions, and that's all we have for you, but we thank you for participating in the process.
Thank you very much.
Oh, no, stay there. I'm sorry. Thank you. We just did it earlier. Thank you so much. welcome. You will have 2 minutes for your introduction, and we have a timekeeper. We'll show you a 30-second window, and then at the end of 2 minutes, the bell will ring for the time. And there are 4 questions we will present to you this evening, and you'll also have 2 minutes to respond to those questions. The clock will begin once you begin speaking.
Thank you, Madam Chairperson.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you so very much. I'm honored to be here this evening. My job in a very, very limited amount of time, albeit longer than 140 characters, is to convey to you my passion, my skills, my interest, and my commitment to serving the people in the 41st Legislative District. As a longtime resident of the city, the past 20 years in the 41st District, I've served 25 years in the Baltimore City Public Schools as a psychologist. Very briefly, a short story. Last year, after hosting many youth forums in my school at Paul Laurence Dunbar High School, I had the opportunity to take 20 students to Annapolis to give them an opportunity to have a voice with their elected officials and to pose their concerns as well as solutions. This is one of the many experiences why I'm sitting in front of you this evening and asking for your consideration. In addition to my activities in the schools, I actively serve my profession locally at the state level as well as at the national level as a member of committees as well as a board member. In my capacity as the chair for the Diversity Committee, I had the opportunity to write a letter of support for legislation that promoted equality for all residents of Maryland. Thank you. And not only did I have that opportunity in the last 10 years, I've been monitoring legislation that helps to inform health and education for our children and youth in the schools. In closing, given I have 2 minutes, many of you have been my role model, and when you put the call out, I've shown up. And now with your blessing, I want to inspire others as you have inspired me to serve.
Thank you. So the first question, what committee in the legislature would be most relevant to serve on for the constituents of the 41st District?
Well, thank you for the question. The very first thing that comes to mind is my skill set and experience would lend themselves best to the Health and Government Operations Committee. It would allow me to express the district's unique needs for better access to emotional and behavioral health, as well as overall minority health disparities. Secondly, in light of Delegate Rosenberg's move to the HGO, either the judiciary to address ongoing concerns within foster care or juvenile justice concerns. In addition, I would be very comfortable serving on the Ways and Means Committee in order to support our ongoing educational concerns.
Thank you so much. Next question is from Delegate Oaks.
If you're selected, what steps will you take to ensure accountability and transparency to protect and strengthen the 41st District?
Thank you, Delegate. I have outlined many concerns, one of which is public safety, criminal justice, and accountability for our police force. I would expect nothing less of myself. I have been in service in the Baltimore City Schools and have experience in exiting the consent decree. And as we know, the DOJ has just put our entire city in a consent decree. I would like to help not only our district, but the city at large to help inform ways for them to exit the consent decree. And one of the ways in which I would want that to happen, pardon me for 1 second, I would like to work with the delegation specifically to develop a bill that would provide funding that is linked to mandated training for officers to work with our youth and to further understand the cultural diversity needs as well as how to best assess the situations involving individuals presenting with mental health concerns as well as understanding emotional crisis. These funds that would be a part of legislation we would develop together, would facilitate accountability and an opportunity to measure changes in actual practice.
Thank you. Our next question is from Ms. Wallace.
What have you done in a leadership capacity to garner tangible and impactful results in the 41st District?
While I have not been a parent in my leadership role in the 41st, I have consistently advocated and been a voice for those young people over the last 25 years in the city schools. And I have been able to support not only the youth and families, but to help inform their education and individualized supports within their schooling. I have also had opportunity, as you'll see on my remarks, experiences to offer support and testimony for legislation to help inform policies, both here in Baltimore City in front of the council, but also in front of the House as well as the Senate in Annapolis. And I've had the privilege to testify in front of the U.S. Federal Court as the Baltimore City Association of School Psychologists president to exit the consent decree, which was a wonderful day. And you'll see also I have lobbied in support of licensing naturopathic doctors, which I know is near and dear to some of us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Spector.
Thank you. Sharon, what are your thoughts and how would you assist in retaining and bringing economic and employment anchors to the 41st District, such as the stability of the previous stadium?
Thank you. I think that the fate of Pimlico Racetrack has been paramount on all of our minds for the past several years. And I know that the Mount Washington Improvement Association has had many meetings talking about the impact of events at the race course, which has helped with sustainability, such as the Moonrise Festival. Some of the concerns around those events have involved public safety, and as I remarked earlier, public safety is a huge priority. I know that there's a pending report from the Maryland Stadium Authority that's due out in February. And as many of you have probably heard, the Stadium Authority now hosts the #1 stadium in the country, also known as the home of our Orioles. I think that we can work collaboratively with those folks who have a successful formula and work in partnership with them to help sustain not only the things that are going well at Pimlico, but to build on it.
Okay. That concludes the questions that we have for you at this time. We thank you for participating in this process, and you may be excused today.
Thank you very much for your time and consideration.
Thank you.